What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Welcome back. Lots to cover in the markets today, including my take on what went wrong in the Elon Musk Twitter deal. Also, there's a big macro event this week that could have a very big impact on prices. I'll tell you what that is. And plus, some incredibly shady behavior from the Three Arrows Capital founders on a Zoom call last week with trustees trying to sort out the bankruptcy case. Hear more about that when I start in a sec. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter @BenCryptoShow and hit the like and subscribe button here if you enjoy the content. That helps me out a lot. Let's begin. So first, the poll of the day. True or false? Twitter Spaces has caught on largely as a way for crypto Twitter people to prove their gender. Mostly girls proving they're girls because just the romance scam bot era. Obviously, the romance bots pretend to be girls, not guys. It's just the way the scam bot business model works. So a lot of times, real, legit girls, female influencers on crypto Twitter have found that a lot of people just, if they have too many modeling photos up, people think they're not real or they're a scam bot or whatever. Then I've noticed in the last few months, Twitter Spaces has really caught on, particularly with the female influencer crowd. So there's maybe a small part of that. Just that it's a way for you to sort of prove your identity through your voice and, you know, obviously also kind of create a good community. There are other benefits, but has it caught on partially as a way for girls to prove they're girls or people to prove their gender? True, 68%. 31%. I would have to say true. I think that's one of the key reasons Twitter Spaces have caught on. Not the only one, but I think it's one of the key reasons. Tomorrow I'll have another good fun poll. It will be the most in-demand face reveal on crypto Twitter. So got a couple choices. There's some people who have very good accounts, large followings, that put up good content. Still anonymous, and a lot of people are just very curious, just from a curiosity standpoint. What do they look like? What's their name? What's their gender? All that stuff. So tomorrow I'll have a few options. It won't be multiple choice. It'll be which one of these people would you be most interested in seeing their face revealed? Tune in tomorrow. Check the markets. So green fear went up to 24 on Sunday. That was yesterday. And then today it's at 22. So even though it's extreme fear, it's actually doing pretty good. If you look at the 3-month green fear chart here, so it was trailing down the first 2 months. April, May, June, but then the last 3 weeks here, see, it's on a steady uptick up right there. And then yesterday's 24 index value is the highest green fear we've had since May 6th in over 2 months. So this is bullish. Again, when you don't really hear this stuff, it's kind of quiet. It's still an extreme fear zone, so no one really frames it as, oh, wow, the green fear is at the highest level in 2 months. But it is, and it's been largely trending up here the last 3 weeks. So I think that this is very bullish. Let's get on to the macro event that is going to have a big impact on prices this week. So it is the CPI index that's coming out on Wednesday. That measures the value of inflation last month in the month of June, and the big number is the June inflation month compared to June 12 months ago, 2021's inflation data point. So most experts are predicting it to be 8.8%. Last month, the May value was an 8.6% inflation increase from last year's May to this year's May. So it's, you know, we already kind of know what it is. Basically, the forecasts have already come out. It's going to be released Wednesday morning, East Coast time, USA. So obviously, the headlines are going to be shocking. They're going to, oh, inflation's the worst ever. This country's going to blow up and blah, blah, blah. And these are just, this headlines are just going to be sort of dramatic like that. Don't let it affect you, especially if you have a big following of crypto Twitter and you tweet a lot and you especially like to get heated about that kind of stuff. Just relax on Wednesday. Don't fuel the fire. As we know, the first dump down over consensus weekend, that's the numbers did come out the Friday before, and then that was the same day consensus started, and a lot of the word of mouth that traveled with the people at consensus and then being not happy with the consumer price index, inflation, and the interest rate increase that subsequently happened, that really did fuel the fire and caused a lot of the meltdown. So please, if you have a big Twitter following and you're the kind of person that gets heated about that stuff, let's just cool it this week, and then next week when we have the actual interest rate increase. Those are the big dates. The CPI index, that's this Wednesday morning, and then Tuesday in 2 weeks, the 26th, Tuesday morning, the interest rate increase is going to be announced. Now, we already know what these are, basically. So the CPI 8.8%, we pretty much know, so it shouldn't be a surprise when it comes out. Disregard the headlines at 26. The betting lines have a 97% chance that it's going to be another 75 basis points increase. So we already know what it is, basically. I think the Federal Reserve is cautious about not kind of surprising people. They are very in tune to the impact of the markets and what the rate hike has. So they're probably, if they know that everyone's expecting 75 basis points, they're not going to surprise everyone and do 100 basis points. They're attuned to what affects the market. They don't want to affect the market worse than it is. So we already know it's going to be 75 basis points. So again, if you're on crypto Twitter, that's another day and week to just kind of cool it there. But I think one of the easiest trades of the month, going long, the 26th through the 31st, the market's almost definitely going to go up there. The rates, the announcements are done there. The CPI has already been announced. The interest rates have already been announced. It's another 6 to 8 weeks before the next announcements in September. So we've seen this every single time this happens. Literally, the moment the announcement comes out, even though the headlines are sort of dramatic, the market does tend to quietly trend up that day and the rest of the week. So I would definitely go long the 26th through the 31st. That's a very easy trade there. Let's see, what else? Yep, and then, yeah, we know that we know 8.8% inflation rate. We know these numbers because in large part the jobs data came out last week, and then it showed that the economy added more jobs than we were expecting. It was 372,000 jobs in June. They were forecasting 250,000. So if that does sound positive, but then that means that the Federal Reserve is not going to back down on the interest rate increases because they know it's probably a good time to increase the rates more because people are working and they are making money. So this actually was not that good for crypto. But it just means we're not going to have less than a 75 basis point increase on Wednesday. It's just not going to happen, or the one in 2 weeks. That's that. It's going to be 75 basis points, tiny chance higher, but not anymore. Let's move on. So the majority of the Wall Street investors expect another 50% correction in Bitcoin. Here's why, blah, blah. So this just kind of shows the masses are typically wrong with Bitcoin. So by the time the masses, like the non-crypto people, think the market's going to go in a certain direction, they're usually not right. So I think this is bullish for Bitcoin, that a lot of these fund managers in mainstream Wall Street are calling for market bottoms, the way crypto people were talking about largely a month ago. Crypto people are kind of split, sort of 50-50, whether they think we're going to have one more nuke or whether it's going to go up. Kyle Dupes, he's shorting it, says one more nuke. Crypto Rover, he's bullish. Crypto is bullish. Crypto Tony says we're going to have another nuke. El Capo Crypto says we're going to have another nuke. The correct answer is no one really knows. It could go in any direction. I'm a little more positive than negative right now. If it's a 0 to 100 scale and 50-50 is neutral sentiment in the marketplace, I'd say 2 weeks ago we were at like 47, 48, more bearish sentiment. Now I think we're at 53, 54, 55. But as we know, when there's a combination of macro events that happen at the same time in the same week in the same few days, that's what triggers a capitulation event and markets tumble. So we just don't know if any of those one-off events are going to happen. One thing that's actually good, so the Mt. Gox event, so this is only 3 billion USD worth of Bitcoin that's being released in September. I had initially miscalculated on Friday. Fridays are kind of long days for me. I initially thought it was going to be much more than that. My calculations were off, but it's only 3 billion. So I don't think this is going to have any impact on prices because, like, for example, this $500 million outflow from the Purpose Fund a month ago, that caused the market to decrease exactly 5%. We know this is good. We know the effect that this has. So this instant drop, that was the $500 million sale. And then there was some leverage unwinding right after that, dropped another 7%. So it had 12% total negative impact. And the sale in itself decreased Bitcoin 5%. So we know $500 million, that causes around a 5% drop. And with 3 billion being unlocked to a bunch of different people, there's probably not even going to be any one person who holds 20% of it, 500 million. And then even if they do, they probably aren't going to just unlock it all at once. So the chances are very slim to none that this Mt. Gox Black Swan incident is going to have a huge negative impact on prices. So that's good. Let's do we have here? So here's just a summary of the bullish and bearish indicators currently. So, as I said, everyone was a little more bearish a few weeks ago. Now people are kind of mixed, 50-50. The greed fear is up quietly. It's been up the last 3 weeks. That's a bullish indicator. July and August are calm months for crypto. July prices tend to trend up slightly. August, they trend to remain flat. So not a lot of panic selling goes on in the summer. That's good for Bitcoin. The Mt. Gox remittance issue, I think, is a non-issue. It's not going to be a black swan event. That's good. There's no huge conferences, particularly in the U.S., that could, have a negative effect, word of mouth, that kind of stuff. That's good. The nuker has not been as active lately. There were a flurry of nukes over a 3-month period ending about a month ago. There haven't been any lately, so hopefully the nuker has, gone into retirement, or he's just a little more conscious about the effect on the entire market one nuke can have, so that's good there. And then pretty much the only two bearish indicators are the CPI numbers coming out this week, and then the interest rate hike coming out in 2 weeks, and then the still extremely high amounts of leverage on the marketplace. But if the market does start trending up, and then people start FOMOing in and panic buying, then the high amounts of leverage could have a positive effect. It means the shorts could be liquidated and prices could sort of cannibalize up even more so than they would have without leverage. So it's not even really a bearish indicator, but here's just sort of the summary. Let's go into the news for the day. So Twitter and Elon Musk, I'm sure everyone heard the news. This was Friday. Elon has terminated the deal. Elon put up this tweet here. Everyone's got their own theories. Judging by Elon's comments and Jack Dorsey's comments over the last few months and years, it seems apparent to me that Twitter board is very difficult to work with. I don't think it has anything to do with the new 37-year-old CEO. Doesn't really have anything to do with Elon. It just seems like the Twitter board, I'm not even really sure who is on it, but the Twitter board just seems very difficult to work with. So I think Elon, it's obviously partially the bot issue. I think Elon and the board just decided they kind of couldn't really work it out there. That's what I take from the deal. More news. Justin Sun is joining in the bailouts here. So this is good. So, as I've said, bailouts, it's a mixed bag. Some are worth it, some are not. Obviously, 3 Arrows Capital, hell no, they will not be getting a buyout from anyone. Terra, the nuke, wasn't really Do Kwon's fault, but that was kind of just too far gone for any bailout to be effective. But then there are some companies which, they just sort of got hammered by unforeseen circumstances here. So in some cases, I think bailouts are definitely good. The money's there, so I'm definitely a fan of them here. Justin Sun, as we know, Tron has been doing pretty well lately. One of the top performing coins in the top 100 over the last 2 months or so, and their stable coin has had slight depegs, USDD, but it hasn't gone below, I think, 92, 93 cents, and it has recovered each time. It's right at about $1 now. So that's good. So Justin Sun has announced he's allocating $5 billion. He's got a lot of money. Him and the Tron Foundation, $5 billion. They're also looking at around 50 to 100 companies. Seems like mostly smaller companies that have asked him for help. So that seems like the same size as CZ and Binance said that they are looking at. So that's good. Always a fan of the bailouts here. There's a lot of money in the space, and then it can certainly help out the space, and it was unforeseen circumstances. So it's good for Tron there. Moving on, RadioShack. They're listing DripToken. So DripToken is the shop-to-earn network. I have featured a bunch, and RadioShack is a decentralized exchange with a very prolific Twitter page that I'm a big fan of. I mean, some people like RadioShack's Twitter page. You can look at their page. I like the style of humor. If you're the kind of person who likes just looking at all the other Twitter pages, crypto, what are your favorite altcoins, what direction of the market, whatever, then fine. Then RadioShack is not for you. I kind of like to spice it up a little, just have some more edgy. It's a bear market. You just can't have a what is your favorite altcoin sort of tweet every day. It's a bear market. There's just not that much material. So I'm a fan, huge fan of RadioShack's edginess. So yeah, they're listing Drip2. Shub, the name kind of fits RadioShack. All the earnings ecosystems I'm a big fan of. I think D Hotels, when they hit exchanges, I think RadioShack would be a good example of an initial centralized exchange, probably a little less expensive, that they could join. So I'm a big fan. Congrats there. Now on to the shady behavior from the 3 Arrows Capital founders. So I guess they had no one knows where they are, Zhu Su and Kyle Davies. They might be in Dubai. They might be in Singapore. Most people think they've left. A poll on Twitter, some people thought they were just guessing they'd be in the Seychelles Islands. Some people just think they're on a boat somewhere in the middle, and no one knows where they are, which isn't that unusual in the crypto world. But they did have a Zoom call with Singapore trustees and legal proceeding people who were going over the bankruptcy case there. I guess Zhu Su, quote, and Kyle Davies, quotations, were on the call. Their names were on the call. They were in the dark, muted the entire phone call. Direct questions were asked to them by the other people on the call, and the Zhu Su and Kyle Davies characters just did not respond, did not unmute their mics, and no one has any idea who the mysterious Zhu Su and Kyle Davies muted in the dark characters were on that Zoom call. Certainly appears that it wasn't the two guys themselves. Very, very shady behavior here. I wouldn't hold out any hope of anything coming out good from the Three Arrows Capital. It does seem like they just sort of got annihilated even more than Celsius and all the other companies did. Anyways, that's it for today. Again, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Ben Crypto Show. Some interesting content there. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button here. That helps out the channel a lot. Some good new videos all this week. And then my poll tomorrow on Twitter, tomorrow morning. The most in-demand face reveal in the industry. That's going to be a good one. Tune in. Be on the lookout for that. Until then, Ben Crypto signing out. Later.